Hello everyone. It's been quite some time since I made a video, so I'm going to read something that I wrote about 6 months ago about how I became convinced that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is true. It's a very broad story. I'm going to go into a lot more details later on. I grew up in a community of religious refugees from the former Soviet Union. I became a humanistic New Ager in high school, where I studied science in my free time. I attended a presentation about science and the Bible by a group called Reasons to Believe, who takes the latest scientific discoveries and demonstrate how they provide powerful new evidence for the God of the Bible. I knew most of the science, but they put it all together and connected the dots, showing it was a big arrow pointing to the Creator described in the Bible as being the creator of the universe. This is what convinced me the Bible was completely true, and I've only become more convinced over time. I did explore the restored church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, back in 2002. I read the whole Book of Mormon, but saw it as full of demonstrably false claims, and all the Mormons I met were clueless about how to sift truth from falsehood. I went through a faith crisis from about 2007 to 2009, and among other things, I learned Pardes, a Jewish method of interpreting the Bible, where there are at least 4 interpretations of each passage, all of which are true. I'm putting all of these things I reference in the description to the video. I hung out with Orthodox Jews for a year, and then Messianic Jews, who convinced me the entire Bible still applies today. The husband of a woman I was babysitting for pointed me to the pictographic Hebrew, which, as I learned it, made the Bible come alive to the point where I consider all translations mistranslations, and that all churches were copies of Babylonian systems of worship mixed with paganism, with only a, quote, Christian outward garb. I hit on hard times and needed a place to stay. A Latter-day Saint, Jessie Fan, invited me to stay in a room she wasn't going to rent out. She invited me to Institute, which I attended for 2 years. Eventually, I encountered a missionary who impressed me. I started talking with missionaries regularly for 5 months and started attending church around that same time. Eventually, I was sent a missionary who removed all my objections from the church. Lynn Wilson convinced me the Book of Mormon was completely true, and Elder Bishop told me the Holy Spirit communicates in the ways we are best taught, which is why there is that promise at the end of the Book of Mormon. I eventually came up with 12 ways of convincing me that had to be met to convince me the church was true. And he went above and beyond by providing, at last count, 16 different ways. And I think I bumped it up to 17 or 18 different ways lately. Combined with a dear friend, Eric Hansen, ward mission leader of the Baylands ward, who took the church's theology to a far deeper level than I've ever known it before, going through the Book of Mormon with real intent this time, and a visit to the temple, I finally decided to get baptized. I was hardcore in seeking after truth for so long before this, and it took a whole lot to convince me. I still have some unresolved problems with the church. I continue to investigate, but I have the faith that the few things that are left have resolutions. And by the way, a couple of those things I've already gotten resolved. The main thing is being convinced that Joseph Smith is a true prophet, that the Book of Mormon is a true revelation by the creator of the universe, and that the priesthood has been restored, and that this is Christ's restored church, and that Russell Nelson is Christ's prophet to our generation. I literally wouldn't have joined this church were it not for Russell Nelson's recent changes. I'm one of the different kind of people his changes have helped bring in. And that's what I wrote about 6 months ago. I wanted to also take this time to mention that I will be going into all of this in more detail. And way back when, I considered the Mormon Church's truth claims to be incompatible with biblical Christianity, and it wasn't until later that I noticed that it was theologians' interpretations of the Bible versus Latter-day Saint interpretations of the Bible. That was the only difference. That it was that Latter-day Saint scriptures and revelations give more details regarding the theology that the Bible explains, rather than contradicting it, which is what I perceived before. So I'm going to go into all that, a whole lot more. The things that I mentioned are going to be in the video description, and I'll see you in a future video. More to come.